I was talking to my friend Margaret last week, and she said something that stopped me in my tracks. She sighed and said, after everything I've done for my kids, why does it feel like they don't respect me anymore? And honestly, my heart sank a little because I've heard that same question from so many of you. Maybe you felt it too. Those moments when your grown child brushes off your advice, talks over you, or makes decisions without considering how it might affect you. It stings, doesn't it? That feeling of being dismissed by the people you love most. But here's the thing I want you to remember today. You are not alone. And more importantly, this isn't the end of the story. Relationships can heal. Trust can be rebuilt. And sometimes it starts with us taking the first step, even when it's hard. So today, let's talk about how to turn those painful moments into opportunities for connection. I'll share 6 practical, heartfelt ways to rebuild trust with your adult children, and we'll walk through them together, step by step. Let's start with something simple but powerful. Pause and reflect before reacting. Now, I know what you're thinking. Easier said than done, and you're right. When your son rolls his eyes during a family dinner or your daughter snaps, "Mom, stop nagging me." It's natural to feel hurt, angry, or even defensive. But here's the truth. In those heated moments, our reactions can either bridge the gap or widen it. Take my neighbor Carl. His daughter Emily kept canceling their weekly phone calls. Every time she flaked, Carl would leave a passive aggressive voicemail. "Guess you're too busy for your old dad these days." And guess what? Emily started calling even less. It wasn't until Carl took a breath and asked himself, "What's really going on here?" that things began to change. He realized Emily wasn't trying to hurt him. She was overwhelmed with her job and 2 toddlers. So instead of guilt tripping her, he sent a text. "I miss our talks. Could we try a quick call this weekend? No pressure. Just want to hear your voice." That small shift from criticism to curiosity opened the door for Emily to apologize and recommit. Now, the second step is speak your truth with kindness. This doesn't mean stuffing your feelings down or pretending everything's fine. It means saying, "This hurt me," without blaming or shaming. Let me give you an example. My friend Rose's son, Mark, kept making jokes about her old-fashioned opinions at family gatherings. At first, Rosa laughed it off, but inside, it felt like a knife twist. Finally, she pulled Mark aside and said, "When you tease me in front of everyone, it makes me feel like my thoughts don't matter to you. I know you don't mean harm, but could we talk about things privately instead?" Mark was stunned. He hadn't realized how his jokes landed. But because Rosa spoke calmly and focused on her feelings, not his flaws, he listened. Today, they've agreed on a code word Rosa can use if he slips up, and their relationship's stronger for it. And here's the secret no one tells you. Rebuilding trust isn't about changing your child. It's about changing the dance. You've been doing the same steps for decades, right? They push, you pull. They withdraw, you chase. But what if you tried a new rhythm? That's what my cousin Gerald did. His daughter Lisa had stopped sharing anything about her life after a fight about her career choices. Instead of peppering her with questions, Gerald started sharing little bits of his life first. Stories about his gardening wins, his weekly chess games, even his frustrations with the neighbor's noisy dog. Slowly, Lisa began to open up again. Why? Because Gerald showed her he respected her boundaries and that he was a safe place to land when she was ready. Now, I won't pretend any of this is easy. It takes courage to look at our own role in the relationship. But here's what I've learned from decades of working with families. Love isn't a race. It's a slow, steady walk toward each other. And sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is take that first step, even when we're not sure where it'll lead. So let's keep walking together. In the next part, we'll talk about how to set boundaries without building walls, and why sometimes the best way to teach respect is to model it, even when it feels like they're not watching. I receive so many messages from folks saying, "Okay, I'm ready to try something new, but where do I even start?" And that's exactly what we're diving into today. Because rebuilding trust isn't just about those first brave steps we talked about. It's also about creating a foundation that keeps that trust growing day by day. Let's start with something I know can feel uncomfortable at first: setting boundaries without building walls. Now, boundaries might sound like a buzzword these days, but for parents and adult children, They're like guardrails on a winding road. They keep everyone safe without shutting them out. Take my friend Helen, for example. Her son, David, had a habit of dropping by unannounced, even after she'd asked him to call first. She'd swing between resentment, he never listens, and guilt, but what if he needs me? Finally, she sat him down and said, David, I love seeing you, but when you come over without warning, it leaves me scrambling. Could we try texting before you visit? That way I can be fully present for you. David grumbled at first, but Helen held firm, not with anger, but with kindness. And guess what? After a few weeks, he started texting. Not just to visit, but to share little updates too. Helen's boundary didn't push him away. It taught him how to show up for her better. Here's the thing about boundaries. They're not about control. They're about clarity. It's saying, this is what I need to feel respected without making the other person feel attacked. And that leads me to our next step, modeling the respect you want to receive. I'll never forget a letter I got from a viewer named Tom. His daughter, Sarah, had started interrupting him mid-sentence, just like he used to do to his father years ago. Instead of calling her out, Tom decided to change his own habits. He began pausing when she spoke, nodding, and saying, I'm listening. No lectures, no when I was your age, just quiet, consistent respect. And over time, Sarah started mirroring him. She'd catch herself interrupting and say, sorry, Dad, keep going. Tom didn't have to demand respect. He earned it by showing her how it felt. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but what if they don't change? What if I'm the only one trying? And that's a fair fear. But here's the truth. You can't control their actions, only your own. And sometimes the most powerful message you can send is simply living what you value. Think of it like planting a garden. You water the seeds, you pull the weeds, but you can't force the flowers to bloom. All you can do is keep showing up, tending to the soil with patience. And you know what? I've seen so many of those seeds take root. Like my buddy Frank, who started ending every call with his son by saying, I'm proud of you, no matter what, even when his son didn't say it back, even when things were tense. And one day out of the blue, his son whispered, thanks, Dad. I needed to hear that. That's the thing about respect. It's contagious, but it starts with us. Now, if this resonates with you, if you're thinking, maybe I can try this, would you do me a favor? Tap that like button below or consider subscribing if you haven't yet. It's how I know these conversations are reaching the folks who need them most. People just like you. And don't worry, we're not done yet. In the next part, we'll talk about the final piece of the puzzle, how to listen in a way that heals, not just hears, because sometimes the deepest respect begins with silence. You've come so far already, just by being here, just by wanting to mend what feels broken. And I know it hasn't been easy, but we're down to the final steps, and I promise you, these might just be the most transformative of all. Let's start with something that sounds simple, but can feel like climbing a mountain. Listening to understand, not to respond. My friend Linda taught me this lesson years ago. Her son, Jake, had stopped sharing anything personal after a blow-up about his career choices. Every time he tried to vent, Linda would jump in with advice. You should quit that job, or why don't you just? One day, Jake snapped. Mom, I don't need you to fix it. I just need you to hear me. So Linda tried something new. The next time Jake complained about his boss, she bit her tongue, nodded, and said, that sounds really tough. Tell me more. And something shifted. Jake talked for 20 minutes straight, not because Linda had the answers, but because she finally gave him space to feel heard. By the end, he sighed and said, thanks, Mom, I needed that. Listening like that, it's like offering a gift. You're saying, your feelings matter to me, even when I don't agree. And that's how trust begins to regrow, one quiet moment of validation at a time. But here's the sixth and final step, the one that ties everything together. Practice patience and celebrate small wins. Because healing isn't a straight line. It's more like a winding path with bumps and detours. Take my cousin Evelyn. After months of working on her relationship with her daughter, she still had days where old tensions flared. But instead of thinking, nothing's changed, Evelyn started jotting down tiny victories in a journal. Today, Mia texted me first, or we laughed about something silly without arguing. Those small moments became her compass, reminding her that progress, no matter how slow, is still progress. Now let's take a breath and look back at how far we've come. We've talked about pausing before reacting, speaking your truth with kindness, changing the dance, setting boundaries, modeling respect, listening deeply, and embracing patience. But here's the secret thread that ties them all together. Love is a choice you make every day, even when it's hard. It's choosing curiosity over criticism. It's showing up as the person you hope they'll become. It's planting seeds you might not see bloom for years. And yes, it's okay if some days feel like two steps back. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. You are worthy of respect, not because you're perfect, but because you're here, trying, because you're brave enough to face the messy, beautiful work of loving someone. And I want to hear your stories. Have you tried one of these steps? Did something unexpected happen? Share it in the comments below. Your journey might be the light someone else needs. If this resonated with you, do me a kindness. Tap that like button so others can find this conversation. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing. Every click tells me, keep going. This matters. However this unfolds, promise me one thing. You'll never stop believing in the power of a fresh start. Age doesn't close doors. It gives us the wisdom to open new ones. So here's to second chances, to messy and perfect love, to showing up again and again, not because it's easy, but because they're worth it, and so are you.